Property Graduate is proudly sponsored by Surtax Accounting.
Property Graduate is the show for aspiring property developers and investors to win a life-changing opportunity that money can't buy. The prize is twofold: forming a property company with renowned property guru John Howard and owning 50% of the shares. John is one of the most experienced property developers and investors in the UK today. With almost 4 decades experience in the industry, he's been there and done that, having purchased and sold around 4,000 homes, apartments and developments. This savvy businessman is putting £1 million of his own money into the new company so the winner can buy and develop a property. With a 50% stake in it, they'll automatically receive a 50% share of the profit and potentially have John as a business partner for life. You're watching Property Graduate. Welcome to the series finale of Property Graduate. We've seen our 14 potentials whittled down to our final 3, Molly, Victoria and Elise, who will have to present a deal that they think will work for John and the panel in a bid to become Property Graduate 2023.
Ladies, good morning and welcome back to London, our all-ladies final. What do you think of that?
Great.
Fantastic. And at the end of the day, you are the best 3 candidates without a shadow of a doubt. This is a once-in-a-lifetime opportunity to have a company with me on a 50-50 basis where I inject £1 million into that company and you have no risk whatsoever in the first deal. All the risk is on me. I'm relying on one of you to come up with a very, very good deal. Good luck today, bring your A game, I know you will, and let the best person win. Thank you.
Molly, here you are in the final. Someone put you up to this and you've reached the end stage.
I'm very grateful that they put me up to it, but yes, I'm a bit nervous today, very, very excited. So just happy to be here today.
And what are you looking to do with your deal to impress the judges and of course mostly John?
I think the bottom line comes down to profit. And I think that's an important factor in all of this. So if I get my figures right and my build costs, hopefully, I can get a decent profit out of this.
Are you excited, nervous? What are you feeling right now?
Excited. I think talking to you now, I'm excited. This morning driving here, I was very, very nervous.
So we've got Molly coming in now. She's coming in first. It's always good to get it out of the way properly, isn't it, if you're Molly? I don't know, but very impressive in the first 2 rounds, Kirsty, wasn't she?
She's very calm and collected, yeah.
I like the calmness, and she's got some experience as well, which I think helps on the whole.
Yeah, and she was strong on her numbers in round 2.
She was. She got
Had
them
it
right.
all laid out well.
She's about one of the few that pleased you, Fiona, I believe. So let's get her in and see if she's on form.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
It's a deal that I found in Lowestoft. I've looked at this area previously and I quite liked it. I think it's got a wonderful regen plan that's going on for Lowestoft. So I thought, I'd like to look at that area. And it's an area that I find the prices were a bit cheaper to where I live in London. So I found this property quite interesting. Did a site visit with the architect and a building surveyor just to see what we could do with it. We had a little walk around the high street. It's currently vacant. It's recently vacant. It's on the market for $325,000. We've had offer accepted at $280,000, subject to planning. So we've got a little bit of time to play with things in terms of getting a downstairs tenant, just so it can start generating income to the building. We've looked at plans of what we can do in terms of the actual building. So when you look at it, it's quite a nice looking building, but it's how can I add value to this? So I think the best thing for this building would be to shorten the commercial unit at the bottom and put some residential above. So that's what the plan is for this. And then it'll be a build to sell, I think, on this one.
What's the current tenant mix in Lowestoft and where would the demand come from for that ground floor commercial?
It's kind of away from the centre heart of the actual Britain Centre. So it's only literally a 5-minute walk. just across the road, further down, you've got lots of eateries that are opening up now. So kind of smaller restaurants and cafes that are opening up. A lot of them are privately owned. You've got just M&S down the road as well. You've got Sports Direct. So you've got a couple of the big players. But I think for where this building is situated and where it is, I think it would be kind of, we wouldn't really attract a really big covenant in there, but it would kind of be like a mamas and papas type thing, really. But just looking at the Lowestoft plan and just talking to the agent there's again been a bit of interest with these pop-up shops that are coming up now with eateries and restaurants, and that's what they're really trying to fill this town with now, so it can just bring footfall back to.
And not even eateries. I mean, Shein's just announced pop-up shops in London and stuff like that. So you said it's recently empty. What's this current use class? Is it sui generis?
It's not sui generis, no. It's a class E, I believe. It's for children's and that kind of stuff.
Good news and bad news. Good news is I know Lowestoft very well. Bad news is, sadly, Lowestoft it's got the highest amount of deprivation in the whole of Suffolk. The good news is I know Peter Aldis. Do you know Peter Aldis?
No.
You should do. He's the MP. Okay. So Peter's done a wonderful job getting a lot of grants available for Lowestoft. He's been a really, really good local MP. I've known Peter 30 odd years. So have you investigated the grants that could be available on this property?
So we have looked at the plan. We've looked at the Waveney local plan. Yep. And in there we did read that there are grants available, but we haven't attempted to secure anything yet. I'm
disappointed to hear that, because there's the town fund, which is 25 million, which is Peter's got that granted to them by the government. That's for towns, not cities. There's a levelling up fund, which I think they've got some money for as well. They're just spending millions on this new bridge, third bridge, I think, to go over the river there. So, you know, there is a lot going for Lowestoft in that respect. However, it's still challenging. Who the hell are you going to sell 14 flats to in this position? I know where it is in Lowestoft. It's not a great location. Who are you going to sell 14 flats to?
So talking to the agent already, I mean, he was very keen to take this on as rental.
I bet he is.
So he was very keen to take on the rental thing. So when I first looked at it, I thought, right, we could build to rent. But when we looked at the figures, we actually just thought it would probably be better to build to sell. So I spoke to the agent again, and I just said, you know, what kind of position would we be in? And he said, looking at the mix of 1 and 2 bed, he said they would be, you know, your first time buyers, people that want to stay in the area, those people. So they're a mix of 1 and 2 bedroom apartments.
What sort of level in terms of value does he put on them?
So we, again, very conservative figures we went in, about 110 for 1 bedroom apartments and around about the 160 for the 2 bed apartments. Yeah. The 2 beds are slightly larger, and they are good units. But so we have that choice whether we want to do the build to send, whether that would be a better strategy in the end, or actually look again and say, you know, is there a way that we would do build to rent and we keep the building?
At the moment, with no help to buy, I'd be very dubious whether you can sell 14 flats in this position in Lowestoft without any help. That's what concerns me. Kirsten.
Yeah, I think exits concern me in the current market and our inability to forecast the current market. So a 17-month project for 14 flats in and out, how realistic do you think that is?
So we took the building surveying team with us when we went to have a look, and when he looked at the building, obviously he was looking at, you know, foundations and how high we could go and a time scale. So they were looking at things and turning things around quite quickly in the 12-month period. And we're looking at light steels for this, and it's something that I learned quite new. You know, you wouldn't look at a timber frame. They're saying, you know, light steels, well, they would do a lot of the work going out to site, and that way it would kind of free up a lot of the time. They literally just, he explained it to me like an IKEA pack. They literally go to site, everything is ready, and they put together. It
all sounds so simple, doesn't it, Molly?
It does. I mean, you know, I was fortunate to go and visit one of their sites where they did this. It looks quite.
It looks, I've got. For me, nothing is simple when it comes to construction. Nothing.
Especially when you're converting an existing building and it's old. So as a comparison, some of the projects that we've done over the last couple of years have been smaller, like, you know, uppers into 4-6 flats, and that's taken 9-12 months, and you're doing 14. So even if you bring the steels in, and it's the exit in this market, because like you say, the first time buyers, everyone's struggling to get lending. No one wants to lock themselves in at the moment. So I think that is probably the biggest challenge, is exiting.
And the other thing I don't like is you're keeping some of the facade. I did that once or twice. Second time, the facade fell down. So because you're taking away, it's very dangerous to try and keep a facade at the front and get rid of the rest of it at the back. It's challenging. This is a really challenging project, Molly. And I know you've done other projects. I'm not saying you haven't. And I've done more complicated ones, but this is quite challenging in a very challenging market in a town that is, struggling, to be quite blunt. It's improving. I agree with you.
I noticed you put a 7% contingency in. Do you think that's going to be sufficient?
Well, we spoke to the broker. They kind of go on a 5%, which I just thought was really, really low. So I thought if I hit it between the 5 and 10, that's why I went for the 7.
Most banks are going to want 10%.
Yeah. So I just kind of went a little bit.
No, I understand that.
And did you consider whether any capital allowances might be available for the building?
It's on the to-do list for capital allowances. I know that you do like them, but we haven't looked at the capital allowances just yet. We just thought, well, let's secure it and see if it's a goer or not.
So the ground floor tenant, I just want to come back to that for a moment, because if it's going to be pop-ups or restaurants or in the valuation based on the agent's pricing, we've got that in to capitalise at 7.5%. Now that would be a brand in this location.
And it was interesting because we did question him when we were standing inside the building, and we just said, I think we'd look at it around about the 10%. And he said, oh no, what's going on in this area with the London North? He said you would kind of get 7.5%.
He's good, isn't he?
Yeah.
He's good.
He's good. Have you spoken to another commercial agent who's not the selling agent?
We haven't. The agent that we were working with on this, they take quite a large proportion of Lowestoft in the area. So
I think I know who they are.
Yeah. So we spoke to them. We kind of just gave them benefit of doubt. But
I think you need a second opinion.
Yeah.
How many deals did you look at prior to settling on this one as the one that you'd bring to John?
Probably about 4 or 5. Some were a bit more simpler, some were a lot more complex, and I just thought this is middle road. I quite like it. It is that challenge.
What financial commitment have you made?
So no financial commitment just yet. They just had the offer accepted. We had it accepted.
And how are you going to secure that?
So
that option?
If I needed to, we would use our own funds if I felt that it was something that we wanted to pursue. But the agent has said that he would give us some time because the vendor is actually not in the country. So he said we would just work with you. And I think talking to them, I don't think anyone else is looking at the building, so I'm not too precious about thinking I've got to put something down to secure it.
Molly, that might tell you something.
Oh, absolutely.
So as an individual
seller,
it
might not. You might have.
And they have owned the building for some time now, but it's got to the point where now they're saying with the tenants, especially with the bar and cafe, they closed down quite quickly. The model wasn't right. The tenant needs to be right that goes in there. So I think they've just got to the point where they said they didn't want to manage commercial tenants.
So have you got heads of terms written up?
Not yet, no.
Okay,
no.
So that would be. I mean, it's great that you've come and you've actually got that far for getting an offer accepted. So great.
So it sounds all verbal at the moment. You've got a verbal offer accepted. Subject to planning.
Yes, so it's in writing, but yes, it's verbal. We haven't exchanged.
Get it in the heads of terms writing.
Yeah. Not
just an email.
In terms of what interest rate have you put in terms of the borrowings?
We were looking around about the 7%.
Yeah, that will not be anywhere near enough. Not now, unfortunately.
Yeah. So the finance cost I put in there was 100,000, but
which I think would be
more
than double
it's just
that.
so difficult now with the banks, even on the project that we're working with currently. So I mean, a lot of it is, I'm open to JVs and partners that kind of come in.
Yeah,
so
but they still need their money. I mean, I put the money in, but I still want a return on it, and and that's just how it works.
Yeah. So do you think? So what was it on the market for?
325.
Okay. So they've come down a bit, not a lot. So is there more room in that? Do you think? If you go
so
back.
I
with
went in a
bona
lot
fide
lower. I did go in a lot lower, and they came back and just said no. So then I upped it, and I said 280 would be the final price. But again, with that subject too, so that I can do my full due diligence and actually understand, is it a viable project or not? So
my gut feeling is it probably needs to be sub 200.
Yeah. I mean, again, it's once you've done your due diligence, I can then go to the agent and say, well, these are my figures and this is why I'm offering. It's not because I've just made up the figures, but this is why
Well, my question is, you've put an offer in on this and it's been accepted. And if you don't win today, I'm sure you hope that you do, are you still going to proceed with this deal?
I will still proceed in terms of doing all my due diligence around it because I think you just learn a lot. I really did like Lowestoft as an area.
Yep.
So I
If you
think
like Lowestoft, can I stop you there? You love Southwold. Southwold is the best seaside resort in the whole of the UK. Funny enough, I've just bought Lloyd's Bank there. That's fun, isn't it? To convert into holiday units.
I do like Southwold.
But it's very special. But of course, when there's a very special area, normally the next area up isn't so good. And this is exactly where Lowestoft is.
yeah. So I mean, it has got future. It has got future development. I think. I think in years to come, it will be one of those towns that people do visit. It'll have a lot more footfall.
It's all about timing.
Timing.
These things,
So I think if I could just play around with it a little bit more and see where I am.
Okay, good. Well, Molly, thank you very much for presenting to us. Impressive. Thank you very much indeed. And we'll see you later.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Molly, how did it go? How do you feel now?
I'm relieved. I'm glad that's over. I think it went okay.
How are you with the numbers with your overall deal?
The numbers came up good, but there's lots of risks in the number crunching. So, I mean, if it works to plans, the numbers are good, but there's lots of hurdles that we need to cross to get to those numbers.
Did the judges catch you out on anything?
Capital allowances. Fiona likes capital allowances, and it was a part of the project that I hadn't looked at
So,
yet.
all over, how are you feeling right now?
Good, but nervous again, because we'll find out who the finalist is. So feeling a little bit nervous now, but excited, but relieved it's over.
I like her composure. I like that she has an answer to most questions. I like that she's humble enough to say, yeah, it might not work.
Yeah.
So I like all of those things. I don't think it's the best deal in the world.
No.
Either. It's a difficult area, probably a bit early for this area, but
Yes.
well analysed.
She's a bit unlucky because I know it so well.
You can probably chip the purchase price a bit when you go back with your field due diligence, but it'll be grant funding that will make the difference.
Totally. What we need to know, is there grant available on that? I'll text Peter Aldous this afternoon and ask him. How's that?
Wow.
Can't bet that, can you?
So you know.
So you know.
Yeah.
Next one, please.
Okay.
Victoria, you're looking pretty in pink today. How are you feeling?
I have butterflies, but it's a mixture of excitement and nerves, I think.
With your deal that you're going to be presenting to the judges and of course to John, what are you looking to achieve from it?
I just want to show them that I can think about stuff in a certain way. I've talked about the kind of deal I want to do. I'm presenting something that I've not talked about what I want to do. It's completely different. So I'm just trying to show them that I can be methodical in the way I look at things, that I can be detailed in the way I analyse, and just show them the way that I would approach a deal. Not necessarily this is the one that we're going to do. If we did, that would be amazing. If we don't, it's more just showcasing to them, this is how my mind works.
Winning this, how would it change your life?
I think it would be amazing. I think it'd be so much fun to work with John for a start. And I think the contacts that he has and the kind of tutelage that I would get from him would be great. And also I think for me it's accountability, because I know in my head I want to go on and do things and I want to, you know, continue building my portfolio and progress in my property career, if that's the right word to call it. But I think it's so easy to have excuses and have distractions. Whereas I think having like a committed company with him and a joint venture with him, I think for me, that would just really be the accountability that I need, and I think I would just find it really fun. I don't really know what else to say. I think it would just be really fun. Speaking to you now, I feel really pumped. I'm like, yeah, let's go, yeah.
Hi, Victoria.
Hi.
Would you like just to tell us about this deal and then we'll get asking you lots of questions?
Yep, so the deal that I'm presenting to you today is a residential property for sale in Wandsworth in London. It's currently a 3-storey, 4-bed townhouse that's on for 1.125 million. The current owners are downsizing. They've owned it since the 1980s and they're just ready to move on. The plan would be to buy it, extend all 3 floors, split into flats and then sell it. The location is within a mile, or the property itself is located within a mile of 3 underground and overground train stations. And it's really close to Wimbledon Park, so it's a really desirable location. The deal appeals to me for numerous reasons. The London location gives it a high GDV, making it solid profit. There's a large pool of potential end buyers at the end, given where it is and the kind of people that would be looking to sell for. The original footprint of the house is quite large and it has a decent sized garden, so it will meet criteria conversion, which I'll come to later on. The conversion can be done under permitted development. There will be planning for the title split at the end, but the conversion can be done under permitted development, meaning we can get boots on the ground straight away and get going with it. There's been planning permission granted nearby for multiple flat conversions, showing that precedent has been set for this kind of conversion, so we shouldn't have any issues there. There are multiple exit strategies for it, and it's not an obvious development project from investors. The numbers wouldn't work particularly well as a buy-to-let as is, so I feel there's less competition buying on entry. And because we're only creating 3 units, there's not going to be any significant marketing costs. It will fall under the estate agent and photos, so actually risk is quite minimal. It's a challenging project for me, given that I haven't done flat conversions before. However, I'm comfortable enough with the elements of it. I've done extensions, I've done internal reconfigurations, HMO conversions. So from my perspective, it is more challenging than what I've done, but I won't require loads of hand-holding from you, John, because I know you're
Victoria, you're going to be my partner if you win. You'll get all the support and help you need.
Are you sure about the permitted development to 3 flats?
Yep.
And what about the thermal insulation of the building? Because I haven't seen it. There's no EPC in here or...
No, so that would be something that we would get at the end for the EPC. Within the professional fees, I've allowed for like air testing, soil testing, acoustics, all that kind of stuff will be included in that. With the permitted development, the ground floor would require prior approval for the extension of that, and then the 2 above it would just be under permitted development.
Now, I'm not very good at PD.
Okay.
I always ask my planning consultant. But I'm not convinced this is PD. Kirsty, are you?
It didn't immediately spring to mind as a PD for me.
Why
So let me explain how it works. So we're going to do it in stages. So the first thing is we would extend the ground floor. So that would go out 3.5 metres. That can be done under permitted development with prior approval.
Right.
Once that's done, we can then extend above it, because you can do, since it changed in 2020, you can kind of raise up levels. So we can then do the second floor, and then we can do the top floor.
Still as a single dwelling though?
Yep, still as a household application, all as one dwelling, and then once it would just be one large house, and then at that point we apply for flats.
Are we going to get planning for 3 flats here or not?
Yes.
Right. In that case, why don't we just go for the 3 flats and stop all this faffing around? It's going to take you a year to do all that. A year's interest is a lot of money.
What's your estimated timescale?
So the build would be around about 6 months, and then hopefully the whole thing would be done and dusted within 18.
I think 18 months is realistic.
I'm just looking at survey and searches of £1,000, and I thought that was a little bit light.
We can push that up. I've got a contingency in there of 10% of the cost that can go up. But
Yeah,
also,
we like the contingency, didn't we?
Yeah.
10%. We thought that was sensible.
I've based the ground floor extension on £1,500 a square metre, the first floor extension on £2,000 a square metre, the top on £2,500 a square metre, and then I spoke to an architect and a builder in London who said for the internal conversion that would be £1,000 per square metre.
Have you factored in any decrease though, Victoria?
I have not, but there are 3 exit strategies. So if the market were to suddenly change and we weren't able to sell for what we want, there are 2 other exits. So you can either, as they're in flats already, we can either just put them on a self-managed buy-to-let on a long-term AST. The cash flow isn't amazing on the 3-bed, but it is still positive.
Does it, what I call, wash its face?
Yes, it covers itself. And I'm really conservative with my numbers like that. So I always build in a huge contingency, which we won't be needing. So we could always take a bonus at the end of the year.
So John wanted 30% return on costs. What did this?
So that's what I wasn't clear on, because the brief said a deal that we would do rather than one specifically with your criteria.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
But so you do want to win the competition, I take it.
So say again?
But you do want to win the competition.
Oh, 100%. This is 20% profit on costs, which is 16% profit on GDV. I have calculated if you wanted 30, the purchase price would be lower.
How much lower?
Obviously. So if you wanted 30%, the purchase price would be 900. Whereas to get the 20%, it's 1.01.
How long has it been on the market for?
Just since February.
What do you think the demand is for the property in its current state?
I've spoken to the agent. There's no offers on it as yet, because it's a 4-bed and it is quite a high price point. There is always going to be demand in London, but I don't think it's flying off the shelves. It doesn't appeal to investors because the buy-to-let numbers don't work. As I said, it's not an obvious conversion, and you need quite a large family to fill a 4-bed.
So based on what we've just talked about, where would you go in with your offer on this one?
So to make the 20% work, it would be 1.01 million. If you wanted the 30%, would go in at 900.
But where would you go?
I would go for 20% because that's what's comfortable for me. I feel that that's a fair price for the seller.
Fair. Listen, Victoria.
All's not fair in love and war.
I would offer whatever John wants me to offer.
We are not. That's not the answer. This is business.
Yeah.
I don't care if it's fair to them or not. It's only fair to us if we get it for the bottom price, the very, very bottom we get it for. Otherwise, you come to me and say, well, of course, John, I've been very fair with them. Very, very fair. I could have got it for 100,000 less, but hey,
No,
why would I want to do that?
I would take that on board, and I'm not uncomfortable offering low. My buy-to-let portfolio
Good.
was
I love
all hugely low offers, so I'm not uncomfortable doing that.
Good. You've got to get your ruthless head on. Have you considered just refurbishing the house and putting it back on the market? Simple, 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 quick, quick, quick.
And how many deals did you look at to come to this deal?
So I looked at a couple of hundred, just kind of top level, because I was originally looking for commercial to resi, which is what I've told you all along that I was looking at doing. I didn't like any of the profits in those. So then in terms of this detail, this level, it looked about 15. And this one was the best one because there's so many, I perceive this as kind of like a needle in a haystack, because to convert a house into 3 flats in this borough, the original footprint has to be over 130 square metres, which this one is. Post-conversion, the garden has to remain at 15 metres squared, which this is. The council under the London plan have got the kind of new house initiative, and they are really promoting small sites under 0.25 hectares, which this is, within 800 metres of the tube station, which this is. It ticks every single box, and a lot of them didn't have one or other of those.
And Victoria, to be fair to you, that's all very impressive information that I wouldn't know. So, isn't it?
Yeah, I didn't know that either.
No. So you've taught us all something this morning.
I'm just surprised because in my area, you don't have to. It's 15 square metre garden. It's normally a lot bigger that you need to retain.
Yeah.
So that's interesting.
It's quite small. I've put an exit in there from the council.
Yeah, we thought your proposal was very well put together, didn't we?
Yeah,
thank you.
Very good.
I don't think there's nothing glaringly obvious that's missed.
I agree. Fiona, any more questions?
I think a couple of hundred deals that you looked through it, and this was the one that you wanted to do, is interesting to note. And if you weren't successful today and didn't win the competition, would you still go ahead and try and pull this deal off yourself?
I would try and raise finance for it. Yeah. So I'd go to the bank and I would try and get other private lending on it. Yeah, because I think there's a really good opportunity. The fact that 0.2 miles down the road, this exact thing has been done. Obviously, I've put in additional money for curb appeal because I would want that to look more beautiful. But I personally feel that this is a really unique opportunity because of all the boxes that it ticks. Okay. So I would still want to do it.
Okay. Victoria, thank you very much. We'll see you later on.
Okay. Thank you.
How did it go?
I don't know. It's really hard. They kind of 50-50. So half of the things they were like, oh, no, that's wrong. And then half of them were like, oh, this was really good. Yeah, I really like that. It's a really hard one to call. I think could go either way.
Now it's all over. How are you actually feeling?
I'm a bit sad. I've really enjoyed the process. I've really liked hanging out with the other ladies and it's been a nice focus. It's been good accountability to be consistent and be doing stuff. So yeah, a bit sad, but I guess kind of a bit relieved as well. It's not like that black cloud of I need to make sure that I've got everything sorted. So yeah, mixed.
Didn't have quite as much to say for herself in the third round as she has the last two, Kirsty, but
no,
still
and
quite a lot to say.
I thought she actually let herself down on a couple of things which are ringing bells for me. I don't know if they are for you, which were, I want to offer a fair price. Well, you're in this for business and profit, not for offering fair prices. Not that I'm saying you don't need to be unethical about it, but
unethical. What does that mean? Out of all the contestants we've had this year, I thought she was the sort of real sharp.
I thought she'd be more bullish
and a bit more. Yeah. I can get it for this. I'm going to, and she was a little bit, perhaps just nerves or just trying to be fair. And it's on national television at the end of the day. You don't want to come across as me.
Not probably. Like us, no.
So I mean,
she's well presented.
So I mean, she's well presented,
articulate.
Yeah. The one thing that I was disappointed about was that she hadn't thought of it just being refurbished as a house.
I think she was trying to show,
what she can do.
And she definitely did that.
She did.
She's definitely done her research. She knows her stuff. She knows how to do it.
She knew all about the gardens, didn't she, and the spaces. That's Victoria, and now we've got someone else coming in.
How have you found the process?
The challenge was quite a challenge part for me, but overall I think it has been like a process of learning, about ourselves, about the judges, what they like, what they don't like, and also stepping out of the comfort zone to look for deals which I usually don't do myself.
Winning this, what impact would it have on your life? How life-changing would it be?
having John's mentorship in a way, like maybe like shadowing him or going on site, seeing how he's doing his projects and learning from like by being there and doing. I think it will be an amazing opportunity. I always tend to think of myself like the person who I learn best if I do it.
Say you did win and you find your deal and it all goes through and you end up with quite a lot of profit. What would you do with that money?
I would like to reinvest with John and just continue to grow, or some of it like to keep doing my asset building and building my little portfolio on the side as well.
How are you feeling right this minute?
A bit nervous, not going to lie. This is the fine, you have to be just bringing your best you can, and then hopefully that will be enough.
Very best of luck.
Thank you so much, Amy.
We've now got Elise coming in. She's done the most amazing pack.
She certainly has. It's very detailed.
That puts me to shame. I think it puts you two to shame as well, I should think. And you two are very organised.
I've never sent you anything.
Well, if you had, it wouldn't be as good as this. I mean, have you seen how good it is? It's fantastic. Elise, welcome back.
Thank you.
If you would like to explain the deal to us, and then we'll ask you the necessary questions we think are relevant.
So the property I have chosen is a mixed use class unit. The ground floor is a retail, used to operate as a coffee, and the upper floor is already an existing 2-bedroom unit, but is slightly under the 61 square meter size. There has been planning approved to change of use of the ground floor and the basement to create a 2-bedroom residential unit, and also to do some extension in the back and the mansard roof, and like enlarge the existing upper floor 2-bedroom flat with some amenity space outside, being a roof terrace. The property is situated a quarter of a mile from the center of Wandsworth, and about a quarter of a mile from Earthfield main railway station, which serves Clapham Junction and London Waterloo, so very good access. The unit is located within a mixed street scene of residential units, offices, and other mixed shops. It's not in a conservation area, and the cafe actually has been vacated since September 2022. So I chose this unit because planning has just been approved for the conversion, and looking at the neighboring sites, it looked like this is what most of the neighboring properties have been doing. Property was on the market for offers in 625,000. However, looked back, it was purchased by a limited company in August 2021 for 345.
Well.
So I thought that even giving them 20% year-on-year increase, around the 513,000 purchase, they still win. And
they've obviously got the planning, haven't they?
Based on my, I was using a slightly lower square foot rate for the end value 725. In the pack, there are like the sold comparables between 759 per square foot or 789. With the 725, my return on cost would be around 22.27, return on GDV 18. However, if I'm using the higher square foot prices, and if we're lucky to have the 789 per square foot, then you could get up to 31% on GDV.
What I would say with London, it's hard. I like 30% net profit on cost, as you know, 35% if I can get it. But in London, I do appreciate that's harder to do. And it's balanced out really by the fact that there's a lot more buyers and all the rest of it. So you pays your money and takes your choice, to be honest with you. Kirsty.
How long has it been on the market for?
It hasn't been on the market for too long. It only just about a month. So
Okay. So do you think they're open to offers at this point?
Have to wait and see. I think there may be an offer on the table already. So, but what happened, I have seen it when I was looking for a deal, that many prospect buyers went in, offered, and then they just walked away because when they did the due diligence, it didn't.
I think that's happening an awful lot at the moment. So, I mean, with the estate agency, and I've got some estate agencies in Norfolk, we work on a third. In a tough market like this, we work on a third of the sales falling through, a third. So you're absolutely right. You know, just because there's an offer, keep chasing it, keep chasing it. It's amazing. And with development, this type of thing, it's probably more like 50% fall through, I'd say, wouldn't you?
Yeah, definitely.
And I identified one unit which is not on the market, but in the same area, has been in the same ownership for over 30 years. So probably he's thinking of retirement soon. So I sent a letter and then waiting to hear back too.
Okay,
Yes.
smart.
Okay.
So what would be the options for exiting this?
So the primary strategy would be to convert to sell, because the market is still quite strong. There were 50 sales within a quarter of a mile radius last year. I did do some costing on rental, what could be achievable, and the rental figures are not as high as. So my prime exit would be to develop and sell, and then it's a seller's market at the moment.
And how long would you think that development would take?
I talked to an architect and some builders. I know 3-6 months, but I allowed the 12 months and including in all my costing. Yeah.
Have you thought about just going and trying to find something like this before the planning is granted? Because they're going to make nearly 300,000 in a year.
One which is close by is off market and it doesn't have a planning. So that's what I'm pursuing.
And you'll spend a year, all the hassle, all the aggravation, all the risk, to make less than they're going to make from that planning uplift.
I mean, it's all risk and reward, isn't it? So if you haven't got planning and you've got a good planning consultant and you think you can get planning, you deserve to make more money because you've taken that extra risk. This is less risk, which I don't mind. It doesn't bother me. What bothers me is to think that you can convert it and sell it within 12 months, because that's far too tight.
Do you think so? Okay.
I do. And the problem is that has a knock-on effect on obviously interest. You know, even on a small job like this, we look at 2 years, and then if it's sooner than that, it's a bonus. And hopefully it should be sooner, 18 months, I'd have thought probably. But 12 months is very tight.
And I think your finance costs are a bit light, actually, at 85,000.
I allowed 10% on the total cost. So subtotal was 851. Refurbishment was priced at 125 square foot for the 1,379. Then for the new builds, 200 square foot, and for the basement, I allowed £45 because you can't develop the basement
Just
into habitable.
Paint the walls.
Yeah.
Very good. Very sensible.
So the refurbishment per square foot, do you think that's a bit light?
I did speak to an architect who is doing fair enough HMO conversions, but they are operating in London area. He did seem that this is realistic.
Well, you can't do any more than that, to be fair to you. I think that's light. You do as well, don't you, Kirsty?
Yeah, but comes with
opinion.
experience.
And at the end of the day, if you can let me have his or her phone number afterwards, I've got some work for them. So we'll see.
So what would you have costed at? Just so I'm learning.
For the finance, at least another 6 months. So plus it doesn't look like there's much fees in there either.
Yeah, you can have 1% in, 1% out, you know, in terms
solicitors'
of
fees for the financials, unless you've added that to your other legals. But you've only got £5,000 for your legals, so it doesn't look like that.
A bit light, but
and I wouldn't normally get so
wound up.
Technical in a pitch, but you've not got a lot of margin on your return on GDV because you're only at 18%. So if the winds change even slightly, there's just not that much grace.
Yes, I did, however, mention earlier that my 725 is the lower end. So if in the calculator is 750,
what if the market goes down? That you're talking about, you know, when you've underestimated the GDV because you could have got better pricing. What about if we get a bit of more softening going on this year, and it goes down? You know, minus.
I think you
5% or 10%.
I agree entirely. I'm looking at everything and taking 10% off it now.
Okay.
Because the market is tough. It's tough out there. But being tough, having a tough market is good for us. If you're my partner, that's good. You know, a bit of blood on the street, as we call it. That's good. We want that. We've got to get in and buy these things at the right money. So that is interesting. Kirsty.
If you weren't successful in winning today and working with John, is this a deal you would move forward with?
I would use the plans and then try to negotiate on the one which is off market, so there is nobody in for me. So
The one that hasn't got the planning granted yet, but it's
off
similar.
market, yeah,
Yeah,
because
I like
you have
that.
the template of what
Yeah,
it could be.
I agree. And on this deal, I always like an out before I have an in. So I always like to de-risk, and I want to know what we can do if it all goes wrong. So what can we do with this if it goes wrong? If we can't sell them for what we want, what's the next option?
I did look at the rentals, but I did say that in terms of rental achievable, I think for a 2-bedroom in the area, about 2,100 per calendar month. So it could have only give about 3.6% return on money left in if we refinance at 60%. However, I did calculate that if we were to find a tenant buyer, so then you could have a little bit of...
And you wouldn't get 60% with that kind of yield.
No.
With a tenant buyer, you could get up to about 10% because you don't have the cost of like maintenance, and then they will look after it as they were already. But then you're risking off if the market moves in the positive direction.
I do like that you included capital allowances, though. The fact that you've thought about it and put a provisional amount, and actually it'd be quite a significant amount, actually, if you can succeed with that. So that's good. Where did you get that kind of advice from? Did you?
So I had, one SA unit. I know it's different, and I spoke to the surveyor what could be the estimated capital allowance. He was working at 30%. I only allowed like 25%. Again, being conservative one.
Yeah. And have you contacted the agent that's selling this?
Yeah, I have spoken
and asked whether the allowances
and
are available.
they said they are not aware of that it has been claimed before, so that's how I base my numbers.
Is the property elected for VAT, do you know?
No, it isn't.
Okay, you did check.
Yeah, I did check the council tax as well. What's the business rate? How much you can claim under relief? So that's all factored into my...
Okay, good, because that trips a lot of people up with commercial properties potentially being elected.
I was actually thinking when I looked the other day, as I heard, on a quick trainer, that you could buy some of the commercial units if it's owned by a limited company. You can buy the limited company, and then you pay less stamp duty. So I looked at the option in case this could be something here, but it's
let
not.
me give you some advice about limited companies, and Z's not here. Our accountant is here to advise, but buying a limited company that's already in use, if you like, there's so much due diligence that's required. You don't know what's happened, in the past with it. I never, ever, ever buy a limited company of someone, because you never know what the problems are. Someone might have fallen down the stairs 3 years ago, one of their tenants, and then the company gets sued, all sorts of things. So be very, very careful buying limited companies, in my view.
Yeah, but you can get warranties for some things like that.
You
but
can, but I mean, if you get the warranty of
aggravation?
someone, you've given them a couple of £1 million and they move to Australia. Good luck getting it.
Yeah.
Hey, you'll be back in Australia by then, won't you, Fiona? So, you can't.
Looked at for companies where you only have like the one asset. So I
even
looked at a care home.
I still don't. You know what? I still don't trust them.
Okay.
I wouldn't do it.
Good advice. Thank you.
Kirsty.
I was just looking at stamp duty and trying to, because I don't have a calculator next to me, trying to
Well, you've got
calculate
your brain.
whether it was right or
You're
not. I know it's
chartered
not. It's not working. It's not working.
It's a tiered approach, but it actually comes to like 3% effective rate. So I did use.
You did use the tiered. Okay, that was my question.
Good answer. Good answer.
Well done.
Fiona.
Well, I'm just looking at the business rates, because they've obviously just had new ratings through.
Yeah.
And you were on, 12.5. I'm just wondering if you've thought about that and your carrying costs for that, 12 to 18 months that you'd be.
So I, in my mind, if I apply for like a small business relief, because if I set up a new limited company to have this unit, then you can apply for the relief. And then I allowed, I think £1,800 for the 12 months. That's because if I apply for the small business relief, then I don't have to pay, plus the council tax.
But if it's been used up before, isn't that? I'm never quite sure with that.
You should be able to delist it because you're developing it. So if you're actually converting it, just make a mess as fast as possible. Send the photos to the VOA and say, we need to delist this.
Strip it the same day.
That's the best way.
Yeah, that's the simplest way, and then it's done.
Strip it out.
Yeah.
And my business partner loves going and making a mess on day one for that reason.
Excellent.
So, send someone who joins.
This is a great. How many deals did you look through?
I looked through hundreds. It was a big care home with multiple options, building lands, but the build cost just didn't stock anyhow.
And what was the standout reason you selected this one to bring?
Because I felt like the market was quite strong in terms of like reselling it. On the other areas, I felt there wasn't much comparables. And I know that you were saying that I should have allowed longer time, but after speaking with the architect, you know, I thought like the time frame, quick in and out.
Yeah, no, I don't disagree with your thinking, to be honest with you.
Yeah, I really like the amount of detail you provided to show us that you have actually considered everything, and it's very professionally presented. So, you know, well done for putting all that effort.
Super.
Great.
Good. Well, thank you very much.
We'll
see you again very shortly. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thanks, Elise.
How did it go?
Was a bit nervous inside, you know, when I had my session. There were a couple of tough questions.
It's all over. How are you feeling at the moment?
Relieved that it's all over, and then there is the excitement to, you know, see who won 2023 property graduate. But it's good to be just, you have done everything you could.
Elise, what do we think? Kirsty?
Very professional. She's done her homework, as she had done in the last
all the
two
way
rounds.
through,
All the way
has,
through, she teaches herself what she needs to know, and she makes sure she's got the answers. I like that about her.
I mean, she won the award for the biggest pack of the three contestants.
That doesn't always impress. That doesn't always impress me, as you know, Fiona. It's not always the answer, is it? No.
I've liked her ever since the first round.
No, I don't disagree. Well, we're going to have a cup of coffee now, then we're going to have another chat, aren't we, and decide. I'm going to decide, with your help and all your wealth of experience you've both got, as who should be the Property Graduate 2023. So, the big deliberation. What am I going to do? Come on, ladies, help me out here. Where should we start? Let's start with Victoria. What do we think? Can I work with her?
I think confident, articulate, but maybe a little bit weak in some of the areas. I'd be a bit concerned about how much work she'd need to do to get to the right price, the kind of deal she'd be looking at. I'm just not.
I thought she lacked a bit of confidence today, and she wasn't as bullish as
no, she wasn't. I agree.
I really expected her to be, which I think she's come down from extremely bullish to the other end of the scale, which shows that she can operate at both. But
a bit timid, I like her energy.
Can you toughen her up?
I think we can toughen her up. I think we can toughen her up.
Molly has some experience behind her. I don't think she'd need a great deal of support. She'd be out there looking at deal. If you gave her the right steer, these are the criteria, she'll go and find you the deal. She's
very diligent. I think she's thorough and diligent, somewhat quiet, but I think she'd do quality work. She would. Her pack, I would have liked to see laid out a little different. I think with a bit of adjustment, she could send you things very efficiently to review.
I don't know personality-wise if she would be the best fit, because she is very quiet. I think you might like a bit more debate. I mean, at the end of the day, if they're good at what they do, they're good at what they do.
I think she's the sort that you'd sort of make her aware of your criteria. You wouldn't hear from her, and then she'd bring you a cracking deal 5 months later.
Yeah, me too.
Again, likeable. People have to be likeable. If you want to find a deal, you know, you're both characters, you know, you've got that personality that's required. Have these people, has she got the personality to be talking to agents and blagging them and this, that and the other? Oh, is that an old-fashioned way of doing it? Am I just a bit of a dinosaur, you know? But that's how, on the whole, you get deals by people you know. Elise, what do we think?
I like Elise. I've liked her right from the start. I was glad that she made it to the final.
Yes.
I thought she's, I don't want to say slow and steady, but I think she's steady Eddie. I think she's did a reasonably good pack. And I think she would also be someone that could work with you.
Very bright lady.
Yeah.
Very intelligent, clearly. And her backstory is very impressive. I've now got to decide, haven't I, which one is going to be the Property Graduate 2023. Welcome back in to the room. This is always the most difficult part of the whole show. You know, we start off with so many applicants, and now we're down to 3. 3 become 2, 2 become 1.
Any one of you could win this. any one of you is good enough to work with John this year. You've all excelled yourself today with your deals and what you brought to us.
Yeah, I think that's right, don't you, Kirsty?
Yeah, absolutely. Attention to detail.
Yeah, it's been very good.
Very well prepared, well presented. So all of you did a great job.
I've had, great conversations with both of you, haven't we?
Yeah.
Over lunch and everything else, and it's been very, very, very tough. But I have made a decision. Elise, you've done very, very well to get this far, but unfortunately, I'd like you to leave now. Thank you. Thank you. 3 become 2. Such a difficult decision. Molly, you've got probably more experience than Victoria. Victoria, you've got that energy and that enthusiasm. Molly's got that in a more quieter, more subdued way, but it's very similar in many ways. You don't have to be out there shouting about it. You just quietly get on with it, which I really like. Victoria, in the first round, you were very ballsy. Second round, not quite so ballsy. Third round, today, a bit quieter. I think you know that there were things that you could have improved on your pitch today. And Molly, I think the same with you. I think there are things that perhaps you hadn't thought of, but I've made a decision. My property partner and the Property Graduate 2023 is going to be Victoria. Well done. Incredibly close.
Congratulations on winning Property Graduate 2023.
Thank you.
Going through 3 grueling rounds. That's an amazing achievement. I'd love to give this award to you.
Thank you very much.
You deserve it, especially surviving this man behind me. You've done well, and you're going to enjoy the journey with him. Believe me, you will.
This is just the start, Victoria.
Yeah.
You know that. And we've got a lot of hard work ahead of us, but it will be fun, and there will be a profitable deal at the end of it, I'm sure.
I'm excited.
Here it is. You won it.
I know.
How do you feel?
Oh, shell-shocked.
I mean, did you think you were going to win it?
I think you have to come into the final believing that you could, otherwise what's the point? But the other 2 girls were so good. I was kind of like, I would love to win, of course. If I don't, I would lose to credible competitors. So I just didn't know.
You've all been very friendly, which has been nice. It feels like you've supported each other through this process and to the final as well.
Yeah, that's been really nice, and that's been such an amazing thing to take away from this, is the camaraderie with the other girls has been really nice.
And how do you feel about having John as your new business partner?
Oh, I can't wait. I don't think
amazing.
he knows what he's in for, but I'm really buzzing. Yeah, I'm really excited.
The new chapter?
Yes, definitely. Really excited. Gonna go conquer the world together.
And buy some Louboutin shoes.
Oh, I have to. I've told you I'm going to do it now. So yeah, next time I see you, I'll have to wear them.
Well, congratulations.
Thank you so much.
Do you think you have what it takes to become John's next Property Graduate? Applications for Property Graduate 2024 are now open, and you can apply at propertygraduate.tv. We'll see you then.
Property Graduate is proudly sponsored by Surtax Accounting.